Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. His Excellency, the Qatari Minister of Culture, praises role played by the Sultanate in spreading culture of tolerance. The Tunisian Democracy Group wins the Nobel Peace Prize 2015. And Palestinian-Israeli stabling violence intensifies as Israeli occupation forces enforce a military siege on Al-Aqsa Mosque, imposing restrictions on worshippers. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency President Abili Naila Tikau of Fiji on his country's independence anniversary. His Excellency Dr. Hamad Al-Kuwari, Qatari Minister of Culture, praised the role played by the Sultanate in spreading culture of tolerance during his visit to Islam Message from Oman exhibition at the premises of UNESCO in Paris. He clarified that Arab Islamic world is now in need for tolerance and understanding in light of difficult conditions that the region is experiencing, praising the organizers of the exhibition and the portraits it contains that emphasize tolerance value and the importance of peaceful coexistence among world nations. His Excellency Dr. Hamad Al-Kuwari, Qatari Minister of Culture, forward greetings to the Sultanate for choosing the theme of tolerance as the premises of UNESCO. He also praised the culture of peaceful tolerance and coexistence in the Sultanate, adding that the Sultanate represents a good model of tolerance and coexistence among Arab Islamic countries. Tunisian Democracy Group won the Nobel Peace Prize for its contributions to the first and most successful Arab Spring movement. The Sovereign Nobel Committee cited the Tunisian National Dialogue Quartet for its distinctive contribution to the building of a pluralistic democracy in North African country following its 2011 revolution.
The National Dialogue Quartet has comprised 4 key organizations in the Tunisian civil society: the Tunisian General Labour Union, the Tunisian Confederation of Industry, Trade and Handicrafts, the Tunisian Human Rights League, and the Tunisian Order of Lawyers. These organizations represent different sectors and values in the Tunisian society: working life and welfare, principles of rule of law, and human rights. On this basis, the Quartet exercised its role as a mediator and driving force to advance peaceful democratic development in Tunisia with great moral authority. The Nobel Peace Prize for 2015 is awarded to this quartet, not to the 4 organizations as such.
UN envoy for Libya, Bernardino Leon, proposed the members of the unity government today aimed at ending years of conflict, but the plan was dismissed by lawmakers in the country's 2 rival parliaments. Libya has had 2 administrations since August last year. The proposed new government would be headed by Fayez al-Sarraj, a deputy in the Tripoli parliament that included 3 deputy prime ministers, 1 each from the west, east and south of the country. UN Chief Ban Ki-moon welcomed the news and appealed to warring factions to sign the accord. European Council President Donald Tusk also urged to the rival camps to accept it. Israeli troops fired across the border into Gaza today, killing 4 Palestinians and wounding 14 others who were throwing stones and taking part in the rally in support of violence in Jerusalem. Meanwhile, a Jewish man stabbed and wounded the Arabs in southern Israel in an apparent reprisal attack for Palestinian violence during the worst spell of civil unrest in the region for several years. In the past 10 days, 4 Israelis have been shot or stabbed into death in Jerusalem and the occupied West Bank, and at least a dozen have been wounded by Palestinians wielding knives or screwdrivers in stabbing in Tel Aviv and other Israeli cities. 3 Palestinians have also been killed and scores wounded in clashes with Israeli security forces during stone-throwing demonstrations in East Jerusalem and across the West Bank, leading to a talk of a third Palestinian uprising or intifada. Israeli occupation forces enforced a military siege on Al-Aqsa Mosque and erected barriers on its gates of the Old City in Jerusalem amidst a widespread of forces. Israeli authorities prevented those who are less than 50 years old from entering Al-Aqsa Mosque to perform Friday prayers. Tehran announced that an Iranian Revolutionary Guard General Hossein Hamidani has been killed near Aleppo on Wednesday, where he was advising the Syrian army. Meanwhile, Syrian military, backed by Russia airstrikes and militias, had launched a major attack in Syria's west to recapture land lost to non-Daesh rebels. Daesh militants have sieged 5 villages close to the northern Syrian city of Aleppo from rival insurgents, a monitoring group said today, despite a Russian air and sea campaign that Moscow says has targeted the militant group. Daesh is now within 2 kilometers of government-held territory of the northern edge of Aleppo, which has suffered widespread damage and disease during the 4-year war. At least 19 civilians were killed in the Yemeni city of Taiz today as Houthi militias and their supporters fired rockets on the city. The militias continued targeting civilians while tightening their siege of the city by preventing entry of relief materials, drinking water and medicine. A number of humanitarian and relief organizations are considering an appeal to the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon to tell the world about the difficult situations in Taiz. Italy sent a first group of Eritrean asylum seekers to Sweden today as part of the European Union EU relocation plan aimed at easing the burden on border states amid the continent's biggest migrants crisis since World War II. Many of those arriving land in the Italian southern island of Lampedusa before being moved onto the Italian mainland. The EU plans to relocate a total of 160,000 refugees from the frontline states of Greece and Italy, obliging the EU's 28 states to review asylum requests from Syrians, Eritreans and Iraqis, nationalities that have a high rate of qualification for refugee status. Still to come in our news bulletin. Myanmar is in the grasp of dramatic transformation, and Yangon is at the epicenter of those changes with a new openness in attracting ideas. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. with the aim of expanding perceptions of male and female students and benefiting from specialist experiences in the scientific, cultural and artistic fields to develop innovative thinking for students. Lectures and events which included in the educational forum were varied. 200 male and female students, in addition to specialists from universities and scientific and research institutions in the Sultanate, participated in the forum. Provided work papers discussed a number of aspects, namely educational and performance development. The forum also included an exhibition for a number of students' works and successful researchers. The Governorate of Al Brahmi hosts the induction program of Al Roya Award for Youth Initiatives 2015 amid wide participation of youth. The program clarified main aims of the award and its importance of encouraging Omani youth to innovate, especially in scientific and research projects. The program pointed that Roya Award contributed to apply Sultan's strategies towards developing and uplifting knowledge economy. Myanmar's once sleepy city of Yangon is undergoing a dramatic transformation, with players and traders finding new spaces to gather under a growing number of flyovers. Here's a report.
It's early morning and most people in Myanmar's biggest city are still fast asleep. But here, under one of Yangon's growing number of flyovers, the day is already in full swing. Newspaper distributors have just a few hours to sort the morning editions. They aren't really supposed to be here, but in the rainy season, the shelter is essential.
Before this bridge was built, we sorted the papers on the pavement, but if it rained, it was difficult to work, and the newspapers got wet. It's not illegal for us to use this place, but we have an understanding with the authorities.
Myanmar is in the grips of a dramatic transformation as it emerges from army rule. Yangon's at the epicenter of those changes, with a new openness attracting ideas, cash and cars from overseas. The urban landscape is changing fast as city authorities build more and more overpasses in their battle to unclog the gridlock. And with little public space available, local people from all walks of life have rapidly made these areas their own.
First we played on the road and inside monasteries, but now we play here because it's sheltered from the rain and well lit.
As evening falls, a new surge of energy sweeps through the city streets as the heat of the day fades. Here at Leidan Junction, that means only one thing. Some pedestrians have started to grumble about the daily displays. With nowhere else to go, the skaters are trying to maintain a respectable reputation.
We have rules to skate here. We don't smoke, drink or fight, so that people around here don't have a low opinion of us.
As the world around them changes, people here are leaping into the unknown and making it home.
Now for the general weather forecast. Clear skies will prevail over the Sultanate with accumulation clouds and scattered rainfall in Hajar Mountains and the nearby areas. Winds will be easterly to northeasterly light to moderate along the coast of Sea of Oman, while it will be southerly to southwesterly light to moderate along the rest of the Sultanate. Seas will be slight to maximum with a wave height of 1.25 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Excellency, the Qatari Minister of Culture, praises the role played by the Sultanate in spreading culture of tolerance. The Tunisian Democracy Group wins the Nobel Peace Prize 2015. And Palestinian-Israeli stabbing violence intensifies as Israeli occupation forces enforce a military siege on Al-Aqsa Mosque, imposing restrictions on worshippers. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the studios and the newsroom, it's good night.